Welcome to the Specialty Products Company Pro Series instructional video for the 91000 Fastrax camber caster gauge. In this video, we will walk through the setup and procedures for measuring camber caster and toe. The Fastrax gauge has a unique wheel mounting mechanism. First, loosen the black clamping knob and rotate the adjusting knob. This lets the Fastrax gauge work on wheels from 13 to 18 inches in diameter. The Fastrax bubble gauge is equipped with a locking pin to set the bubble gauge to 0 camber for flat level surface. This gauge can be calibrated for use on non-level surfaces by unscrewing the locking pin and using the 4-sided pivot knob to lock the vial block into place. Position the Fastrax gauge next to the tire on the ground facing the operator. Hold the gauge flush on the ground and adjust the vial block to 0 degrees camber. Tighten the 4-sided pivot knob. This will level the Fastrax gauge to the floor. Make sure to repeat this procedure when using the gauge on the other side of the vehicle. Now mount the Fastrax gauge on the wheel. This can be done on either the inner or outer lip depending on wheel configuration. No lip wheel adapters for the Fastrax gauge are available separately. Make sure the 3 mounting points are flush against the wheel. Now adjust the tool to apply enough pressure for a snug fit and tighten the black clamping knob. Positive or negative camber for this wheel can now be read directly on the camber scale of the bubble gauge. To measure caster, first turn the wheel out 15 degrees using the angled tip of the vial block as a guide. Use turn plates if available. Loosen the pivot knob and set the gauge to 0 using the caster scale. Tighten the pivot knob. Now turn the wheel 15 degrees inward. Again, use the angled tip of the gauge or use turn plates. Caster for this wheel can now be read directly off the caster scale. To measure toe with the Fastrax gauge, the optional 91-100 toe adapter kit is needed. With the toe kit installed on the Fastrax gauge and the wheel straight ahead, loosen the lock knobs and lower the arms of the toe adapter. Insert the head of a standard measuring tip into one of the toe adapter slots, preferably even with the outside of the tire. Measure to a reference point on the other side using the tire itself or a flat bar. Record the measurement. Now repeat the measurement for the opposite side of the tire and record that measurement. The difference between the two measurements is total toe. Using a second 91000 Fastrax gauge along with the toe adapter is another way of quickly measuring caster, camber, and toe on both sides of the vehicle. Make sure to calibrate the unit as was done on the other side of the vehicle. If turn plates are not being used, make sure to settle the suspension before remeasuring toe by swinging up the toe adapter arms and rolling vehicle back and forth. With this gauge, a quick check can be done on vehicles to determine if alignment angle adjustments are needed. We will now illustrate how quick and easy the Fastrax gauge can be used to measure alignment angles at almost any location. The gauge is first calibrated for a non-level surface. Then, after mounting the gauge on the wheel, camber is read directly off the camber scale. Caster for this wheel is measured using a bar as a reference for the 15-degree caster sweep. Turn the wheel outward 15 degrees. Set the gauge to 0 caster, then tighten the knob. Now turn the wheel in 15 degrees and read caster directly off gauge for this wheel.